welcome to the AGRF 2022 here again in Kigali. We have the opportunity in the Food Systems Summit that many of you participated in, many of our countries participated in. That's going to be the remaining part of today's theme, whether it is the ASR that is being launched, or whether it is the afternoon where countries will step forward and present the first pathways that are the first strategies and investment opportunities that are coming from the Food Systems Summit. By the way, it's just 1 year since we had, it's September, 1 year after the Food Systems Summit. So we are happy that again here in Kigali, we can talk about celebrating the first strategies and investment plans coming out of the food systems.
We, as a government, we have to state at Fairfront. What we did, first of all, we tried to bring in, make sure how can we increase access to the fertilizers if the prices of fertilizers have doubled.
Yeah.
So we import all our fertilizers, organic fertilizers. So the prices have doubled, and we have to keep at least our farmers keep using fertilizers. The rate of adopting was still low, around 60%, and then with the double price, we were scared that even it won't lower. And then what we did as a government, we brought in a subsidy. So we make sure that at least we keep farmers not at the same level of the previous prices.
Yeah.
We have introduced almost 40% of subsidy on all kind of fertilizer we use to make sure at least we mitigate the impact on food production. Of course, make sure farmers access to fertilizers, but so we now make sure we increase our local capacity of production of improved seeds to make sure that at least our farmers have a good quality seeds locally made. AGRA is here bringing this summit at least to create more awareness. We are sure that we are not alone in this battle, and we are ready to win. Of course, the end result is to make sure that we create this resilience I was talking about, and we need to find our own solutions as Africans. So we are starting, but we are not there yet.
When we faced the COVID and Ukraine crisis, when the fertilizers prices went high, and at the table we did not have a total solution, what can we do? Then we spoke with the Rwanda ambassador, and we took our delegation to Rwanda to see what they are doing on the subsidy and support to the farmers. And I would like to recognize you and say thank you, brother, because with that, today in Tanzania, we are subsidizing the fertilizer by 50%. So I think the AFDB, when the AFDB mission team came to my office with JICA and said there is an emergency fund for this crisis, I said, let's discuss it as an investment for long term, not just an emergency, because if you discuss it in the eye of emergency, then after the emergency goes away, you go back to the same crisis.
Yeah.
So we said that what should we do? Where should we start? If we want to produce wheat for ourselves and sunflower for ourselves, our annual consumption for cooking oil is an average of 600, 700,000 metric tons. Our home capacity is an average of 240, 250. So we say that, do we have the right seed for the farmers? Number two, we want to produce wheat. What about our ecology? So we decided to do a comprehensive map and say that for the first 2-3 years, we will make sure that we plant an average of 450,000 hectares for wheat. Lucky is that Tanzania has a culture of producing sunflower. So we are producing an average of 260,000 metric tons of the sunflower oil. So we say the first strategy is to make sure we subsidize the hybrid seed and OPV seeds of sunflower, but we must go back to the farms to produce, working with the private sector, because this cannot only be done by the government.
Africa is not a country. It's a very, very, very diverse continent. And if you scratch my skin deep enough, you can see the 29 countries I have been working in on the continent for the last 20 years, right? So, Mepacho, please, I beg you, let's really look at the diversity of this agroecology. You talked about Tanzania's diversity, but if you go even further and look at across the corridors, we need, and I'm looking at Jane Aninda. Dr. Jane Aninda has herself worked on seed varieties which are faster maturing, higher nutrition, high iron beans. We're talking about disease resistance. The last thing we want is for farmers to grow their food, work so hard, and run out, right? Yeah. Of soil fertility, run out of time, or lose it on the farm, or not find a market at the end. Yeah. So we've learned a lot. Let's take a systems approach.
The importance to act now on an emergency response for a crisis that is hitting people hard now. And we know that there's a lot of talk from the World Food Program and others to really deliver emergency assistance in the form of safety nets or emergency food assistance, and that's very needed for people who are suffering now, but also the need to act quickly in the short term to enable farmers to increase their production now and really not let this crisis go to waste, to bring in, again, these improved technologies that we didn't have maybe years ago that aren't out at farmers at scale. And that's what we're really looking to do with this emergency food production facility. So use this crisis right now to help farmers produce more. But then again, with an eye to the long term, what do we need to do to really fix this food systems and the food systems approach? And then finally, I think the last point I'll make is really the importance of using networks to bring our responses together, and also monitoring, making sure that the interventions we have to really mitigate the impact of this crisis, that we monitor the impact of these going forward. A really important point made by the African Union.
The approaches that we bring in are always farmer-centered, need-based. We only bring in what farmers prefer. That's what we scale up. And that's very important in improving adoption in all these different communities that we work in. Right now, we are promoting resilient, sustainable, and regenerative agriculture practices that are climate smart, aim to improve productivity as an additional approach to support fertilizer use efficiency. We do recognize that fertilizer is very expensive for African farmers. In Africa, the use of fertilizer about 17 kilograms per hectare on average, compared to the world average about 53 kilograms per hectare. And of course, in other regions like China, they use over 300 kilograms per hectare, Bangladesh 250, and many countries, Europe, North America, and Latin America, you find is way above 150 kilograms per hectare. Yeah. So how do we solve this challenge? And this is where we are working with the African Development Bank right now on 2 initiatives in Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Benin to bring in approaches that increase carbon sequestration in order to improve soil health. So we look at the long-term sustainability of these soils for these crops to be able to respond to the fertilizer effectively so that we can increase productivity. Yeah. And these regenerative agriculture approaches that we are promoting is combined with climate-smart, resilient varieties which can help improve productivity in totality.
Africa is consuming wheat and maize and rice at an alarming increase, 6% annually for most of those cereals. These are things that we didn't produce before, but fortunately, thanks to new technologies, and there's the case of Ethiopia, Solomon, and the colleagues in TAT and the government, how they have made Ethiopia now self-sufficient in wheat production. It can be done. It's not rocket science. It's been done. And I'm really pleased to hear both Minister Mustafari and Minister Hussein say with so much confidence that they are bringing in seeds, they're bringing in new technologies to actually increase wheat production. That to me shows that it can be done. And as we have seen, but as Rose said, we don't have much time. The emergency intervention by the bank and by others, the World Bank, it's a very important initiative to actually mitigate the rising food prices. And you've heard today some very exciting things, and I'm going to repeat like 3 of them and then wrap up. The first one was seeds and seed systems. I was so impressed. In fact, I almost felt like going up to shake his hands. Minister Hussein said Tanzania was investing 80 billion shillings into local seed system of wheat and sunflower. That is impressive. Because if you were to ask for 10,000 tons of sunflower or wheat seeds in any African country today, you can't get it. The seed systems don't work. The early generation systems are just not there. But now Africa is waking up to that real big gap.
The food systems thinking has become even more urgent due to the nexus between food, agriculture, and the related issues like health, nutrition, education, trade, and industrialization. These are truly drivers of economic growth. Therefore, a food systems transformation is a key to economic transformation. We need this now. Anything short of this implies that Africa is likely to be the only hungry continent by 2030. The theme for this year's AGRF is Grow, Nourish, and Reward, bold actions for resilient food systems. We are in a time when we need urgent actions because every minute when we do not take action, at least an adult, 2 children, and 2 women fall below the poverty line due to hunger and malnutrition. We can't afford to wait. We need bold actions because the challenges we are facing require stronger and innovative leadership that improves coordination, strengthens our institutions, and deliver results in an integrated manner at scale.